Hi again. This is Dawn from Tigox Production podcast, and today I have with me Mr. Chambers.
So,
So far pure females I have, so now I'm gonna get male perspective.
all right.
So I've found over the years, since I've been writing, I know already that the gift was from God, but there's a lot of times when I feel very inspired by Him and to write for people. Sometimes I'm asked to write for people to console persons.
Mhm.
And there are times when I seem to have a gift to write beyond the grave. So there's somebody who has passed, and it's like I'm speaking on their behalf.
Okay.
And it's sometimes persons I know, and sometimes not persons I know. It just comes to me, and every single time, the family members or friends will say, "Oh, that's so perfect," and that sounds exactly like the person. And I know that's not me.
Mhm.
That is the Lord speaking. But I especially wanted you to come
Mhm.
to speak about how you feel poetry is impactful in spirituality. Do you think it has a place there? Do you think that it should not be there? What's your opinion on that before I read any of my poems?
All right. I must say it's a pleasure of mine to be here on this podcast. I would have seen the many, promotions and you sharing, and so it's really good to be on. I guess there'll be further episodes for me to be on as well.
Yeah.
But interestingly, I'm not one who would read poetry per se, but I believe it has a place in terms of society, in persons being able to read and to relate to something. Poetry, of course, in essence, it's a short form of expression, not like a storybook where you have to go through chapters upon chapters, but you can read excerpts or small bits and pieces of poetry. Now, in terms of spirituality, my idea is that similar to the Bible, in that words are written in the Bible for inspiration, and so persons can be encouraged and they find motivation, they find solace in the words that are written in the Bible. Similarly, in many other books, there are words that are written, and that's how powerful words are. The spoken word, by just reading the word, it has the power to change moods, to change atmosphere. And so I believe poetry is a very powerful tool of, communicating, different kind of feeling or different kind of inspirations, which can thereby impact the reader by extension.
Thank you. So the first poem I'm going to read is called The World for a Day.
Okay.
And this poem I wrote when I could find no words
Mm.
to speak to my sister who lost her child after one day.
Wow.
I am like, when I call her, what am I going to say? I can't think of what to say.
Yes, yes.
And I put pen to paper,
Mm.
and the Lord wrote this as far as I'm concerned. I sent it to her, and she found comfort in it. I was so happy that it spoke to her
Mhm.
and spoke to her partner. So I'm
Very
going to
good.
read this, and you can give me your feeling on it
Sure,
when I
will do.
finish,
Will
right?
do.
World for a Day. Wanted to see my mom, who loved me from the very start. Needed to see my mom, who generously gave her heart. I placed her on her back so she could love me even more. I slowed her down a tad, natural delivery assured. I heard my father's voice, comforting, caring for mother. At times I really thought I was too much of a bother. I had to see the woman who never gave up on her son. I had to see my dad, who made this adventure fun. Saw the world for a day. It was certainly worth the wait. My parents watched proudly my lingering minutes left to fate. I tried to say thank you. The words never came out right. Tried to hold on for them with all my diminutive might. I've now gone somewhere where I'll breathe on Jesus' breast, comfortable in the knowledge my parents were the very best.
Interesting take and perspective. One day.
One day.
One day.
One day.
I think it was very powerful. I think too that it gave or would have given some amount of closure. Because when you have a child, you talk to the child and have that kind of a that builds up towards them growing and so call it mommy and call it daddy. Almost like a conversation that was needed for the closure based on what happened. So it was very powerful. I don't think I've ever heard that kind of take from based on the situation that happened. I mean, there's a lot of situations out there that are similar, and so it's so that poetry here is being used by that kind of book.
Thank you. And interestingly, I had a show and I read that poem and I expressed to them that I wrote it for somebody very close to me. I didn't quite tell them that it was my sister, but I wasn't sure if she wanted it shared.
Publicly, yes.
Right. But she has told me since that she didn't mind it being shared.
Okay.
So, so I didn't say it was who, and I read it. After the show, I was surprised. 3 women came to me.
Wow.
And they said it gave them closure.
Whoa.
So one of them lost a child at birth. Another one lost a child young, premature, and then a couple of days. And then there was another one, I can't remember how long that child, but they lamented over this for a long time.
Whoa.
And so for them to come to me and tell me that this poem actually meant something to them, I'm saying that can only be the work of the Lord.
Yes. Very good. Out here doing the work of the Lord.
So the second poem I'm going to read, this one I wrote in Easter. And as I was thinking about it, there was actually going to be, nearly every Easter, if you go to the churches, you're going to see some part of the crucifixion, the this, that, the raising, that, they have some kind of play going on.
Right.
So there was going to be a play, some dramatization that's going to go on. And my poem was actually the bridge.
Oh.
That, when you're getting ready for the next scene.
Yes, the transition,
Right. But they did not really give me much to play with. So again, I had to pull on that, spirit. Yes. And I decided to use my senses, meaning thinking of the 5 senses. So I said, okay, let me think of the hearing, the smelling, how would I be if I was in that time? And that's how I started the poem and I read it through.
Very descriptive as well. I'm anticipating this one.
Shh. Listen. Do you hear that? Do you hear my Jesus in the wind? Do you hear his heart beating louder as he faces his final death? Do you hear his breath as the weight of the cross press his bare feet down, so hard it crushes the petals along the narrow path? Stop a moment. Do you smell the sweat that covers his mangled body? That dusty cloth that protects him, though sparingly? Do you smell the flowers that trim the path of his finality as he steps rhythmically in the weakling blood? Sniff his caring. Hold on, don't move. Can you not feel the pain he endured for you and I? Can you not feel his presence in our lowliest moments? In our secrets? In our smile? Reach out and feel his magnificence. Close your eyes and taste the sweetness of his sorrow. Taste the forgiveness that he bears. Savor the love he demonstrated so dramatically. See his assurance. Yes, look at him on the cross. Yes, open your eyes, look at him. Yes, he's there because of us, to save us. Don't bow your head in shame. Look into the eyes of the I Am who loves us unconditionally. As we reflect on this momentous time, allow your spirit to fall contrite, so we too may rise on a wonderful day. Look one more time into the eyes of true love. Look at this man who overwhelms us with a sense of utter insignificance. It was not easy.
Very powerful. Very powerful. And imagine that with some dramatic background sounds and music and so forth, and especially the dramatic pauses. I really appreciate this one. And it allows you to be placed in the moment of the crucifixion. So you're able to. There's a whole lot of imagery there. I'm not a poetry person or English literature person, but I could sense and see the imagery. Like as you were reading, I was able to imagine. I was able to even put myself there to just relate to what you were saying. So this was very colorful in its expression, and it can allow one that probably who's afar off, who is not a Christian, to even relate somewhat to what really happened as well. Because the part about looking rather than holding on your head in shame, thinking about the fact that a lot of persons were expecting him to come with chariots and horses and so much magnificence in terms of displaying his power, but he didn't. And so persons were like disappointed. But then you were reassuring to say that they should open your eyes and look at his magnificence and to come to realize that he's still the great God. It's just that he had to go through this, right? And so it was very good. Very good, very good. Very good done.
Thank you, thank you.
Awful stuff.
So the third and last poem, I'm not going to read the entire thing. I'm going to pretty much give you the background and and how it came to being, and I'll just read like maybe the first two verses. Right. So again, I mentioned that persons would ask me to write about persons that have passed, right? So at funerals, I've been at so many funerals and read poems.
Wow.
I have poetry that is in the funeral program, poetry that is on the bookmark that is given out to persons. And actually, one time I Googled myself, because people say you must do that periodically. He said, if you're not doing it, you need
I've
to.
done it several times.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
because you have a unique name and I have a unique name.
You probably should do it, you'll be surprised. That's another
so I actually saw a conversation going on between two strangers across the world somewhere, and somebody was saying they were looking for a poem for a funeral, and they said, have you heard about Dawn MacGregor's Last Wave?
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm like, what have I seen here? So I'm not getting any money for that, but that's fine. I felt very good. The person called my name. They didn't just say the last wave, they actually called my name, so by me. And they said they're going to look into it. And that's a poem that I have in all of my books, and the poem that I have read on my channel, my YouTube channel. You can actually hear it being read. But that poem too, the Last Wave, before I mention this one that I'm going to mention now, but the Last Wave, that imagery came from somebody who said, as the person passed, it appeared that they waved for the last time.
Wow.
And I took that last wave and I ran with it. And it is that same poem has been used at about 6 different funerals already. Yeah. And just there's a funeral coming up at the end of this month, and they said, can you write me a poem? And I said, I'm not in the presence of right now to write a poem, but if you don't mind, you could use this. And they said they love it, and they're going to use it. So it's again going to be in a funeral program at the end of June, right? So, but I do prefer when I have some kind of relation to the person. I mean, know somebody who knows somebody, rather than just blank. But it has happened. The person's come and they tell me a little bit about the person,
Right.
and I just mull on that they've said, and then something comes. There was one I remember I wrote, which was a little distant from me, and I said, give me a little time, and I saw a feather from a bird, and I said, that's it.
Wow.
And the name of that poem was Feather. And I just imagined the feather coming down and falling down gently. And that was the imagery that I gave as the person was passing into the next phase of life. Right. So that's sometimes that happens to me. My mother, oh gosh, every time somebody died, she was a nurse. Every time, her friend of hers, she want a poem. And I said to her, you go and every day you're talking about poem, and I'm writing a poem for you, when you pass, I'm not writing any poem because I think it'll be too hard
Yes,
because she's too
definitely.
close.
You
Yes,
talk so much and you don't want to. It would be a lot for you to put in just a single poem.
that's right. So that's what I thought,
Mhm.
But I kept remembering it. Every time somebody passed, she wanted a poem. And I said, I know somewhere deep in my heart that she would hope that I would write a poem for
Yes.
her. But I kept saying, don't ask me to do it, don't ask me to do it. Ask my sisters, don't ask me to do it. And we were standing outside of the funeral parlor preparing the details for her. And this gentle breeze just came over me. And it was so calming, so relaxing. And that was it, a gentle wind. And I wrote the poem. And I read the poem at the funeral.
Wow.
And so I wrote that for her. 2 years later, but during the pandemic time, my father passed, right? So 2 years later, almost to the date, my father passed.
Wow.
So as my father, it was like, as I said, it was so close. We felt my mother saw him suffering. She went first, right? We felt that she saw him suffering and came for him.
Oh wow.
So I wrote this poem easier because it's like I'm looking and say, he's gone where he can be happy. He's gone to mommy. Yeah. And so I wrote this poem, Come. And I'm just going to read the first two verses.
No problem.
I prepared the place exactly how you would like. The dove feathered pillows, a cloud blazed mattress not too high. All your favorite colors, orchids and roses too. But this time it will be different. No hay fever, no flu. So my father suffered from hay fever, and every morning I had hay fever too. I remember that my childhood days was he's on one side of the house, I'm on one side of the house. Yeah, had you. It's like some kind of communication going on. And so he would suffer with the blowing of the nose and catching the flu quickly and that kind of thing. And so I was just thinking of that because being a nurse, she's gone there and prepared a place that he would have to no longer go through all of that.
Right.
So it was, as I said, it was much easier for me to write it. So rather than read the whole thing, I just wanted to give you that background. And as I said, in all of these examples and more, I strongly believe it was the Lord's hand.
Yes. Yeah, man, poems based on it's the first I'm having this kind of a discussion like this. I mean, poems in the sense of it being written this particular way, and I'm seeing whereas it has a place in terms of having a kind of resolve in terms of what you'd have gone through. It doesn't have to be only death in terms of that kind of trauma, but there could be other aspects of life as well. And so it has its place and it's really good. For in terms of I can just imagine for you though, the journey, because I'm wondering where did this start? Like where did this come from? Like for you, if you could have just
Okay,
answer.
well, poetry in general to me just came out of nowhere. My aunt, who she said when I was very young, like 5 years old or so, she used to take me to poetry shows and stuff. I wouldn't have remembered that, right? And she said that when they used to read their poetry, sometimes old people homes, and they would say poems to me. I was so attentive, and she knew something was happening inside of me, because I was so attentive. But I would remember nothing like that. And it wasn't until I was a teenager, and I was in high school, and because I just came from England, I had this strong British accent, and people think that if you can speak with a British accent, your English is impeccable. They think, but that's not necessarily so.
Right.
So she wanted to write a letter to her boyfriend, and she asked me to write it for her.
Okay.
And so I said, I'll do it, but I was like, saying to myself, why she can't do it herself? But okay. I said, but I don't know your boyfriend, so you have to tell me about it. So she told me, what her feelings were, how they feel, and what she likes about him, and so forth. And as I wrote, it came out in poetic form. It came out in rhythm and rhyme.
Right.
And so that is when I was like looking at him like, oh, look at this.
Gift one.
So that is when I found out that I had the gift to do that. Now, of course, she gave it to the boyfriend. Boyfriend loved it. So she came back telling everybody. So I had this long line.
Wow.
I was at a girls' school, Holy Childhood. Got this long line. Everybody wanted to tell me their business so that I can write some poem for them. So that is where I started writing the poetry, really. But then there was times when I've had some very low times in my life,
Right.
and God pulled me out of it through the poetry.
Mhm.
There's times when I was totally broke, and it's through the selling of poetry
Wow.
that I came out of that brokenness. And I got visions. I believe in visions and miracles, by the way.
That's
And
good. That's good. That's
I
good.
have my autobiography is out, and so if you read that, you'll see that it's my life always coming up with some kind of something that you say, oh, this is impossible, but it's
Yeah,
something that
yes,
has
yes.
happened to me, so it's not impossible. It has happened to me,
Uh-huh.
and these things are coming through. The poetry always there to save me.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I want to give back. So I don't really make a lot of money with doing poetry, but if somebody needs me through the poetry,
Yeah,
I'm going
yeah.
to be there for them. If I hear somebody's pain, somebody's going through pain, somebody needs they're going through depression and so forth, I feel pulled to writing something to pull them out. Recently, a relative of mine going through a whole lot, and I wrote a poem for her, and she said, even without her giving me some details, I put some details in there that it was only in her.
Mm-hmm.
Who's working on that? That's God there,
Yes,
because
yes.
she didn't tell me some of those things, but it just flowed out of my pen.
Mm-hmm.
There have been poems already that I've taken out of my drawer and stuff, and I'm looking at this, and if my name was at the bottom, I would say, "Who wrote this?"
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
because
So you
sometimes
don't
things come, I
realize
don't know
it's
where.
you, right?
Yeah, I don't know where some of these things come from.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to share that one of the ways that I gave back, though, for 13 years, there was in Augustown, they had the St. Thomas Aquinas is a Catholic church there,
Mm-hmm.
and I was a member there for a period of time. And they had an education committee to raise funds for underprivileged children's education fund, so that they're raising education
Right.
related funds.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to the meeting, I was very impressed by their structure and their organization. So I stayed. I just went there to look first,
Mm-hmm.
but because they were so structured and stuff, and I hardly find, I must say, hardly find people that are so structured and organized, and and I'm like, oh, this is nice. But then when they told me that they are raising funds every year by having persons do a drive-through ice cream sale, I'm like, that don't make no sense to me, because when you drive through, you buy your one ice cream, you gone. You can't get no repeat sales like that. I'm not driving back if I want another ice cream cone. How many people are going to drive all the way there just to get an ice cream cone, which is like a donation to their fund?
Right.
And I'm saying, this doesn't sound right to me. So I gave them the suggestion of the poetry. So interesting, there was 10 of us in the committee, and I would say maybe 5 immediately were on board, and the other 5 were like, poetry, that ain't anything, anybody gonna come, kind of thing. And that became a success for 13 years. It ran, so it's the pandemic why it stopped.
Right, right.
Raise funds every year. They set a target. They exceed the target, because I gave them a win-win plan as to how to use the poetry. We had amateur and professionals. Michael Abrahams came there, and,
Wow,
and,
that's good.
and yeah, we've had some real big names in poetry that have come there and performed. And then they're doing it for charity. They're doing it for the donation. But we had persons who in the church, friends of friends, who had never read they're in a little corner at home writing their thing, and never stepped out in front of a mic to read their poetry. And they found there was nerve wracking first, but you see they come the next year, you see the more confidence. The third year, it's that kind of thing. So you can see that it actually helps some of those children. We saw them grow, and they're bank tellers now, and they're in stores, and they own their little place, and these things have impacted, and that was really heart filling to me to see how doing that and organizing it each year helped so many children.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really a powerful legacy, Don. And you're building. And again, as I mentioned initially, words are so powerful. We don't talk much about it in terms of the fact that even just by speaking to someone, it has a lot of power, because it there's a sense of it just remaining in your mind, that you can just pull back from something that someone said. Even some more when you even read a poem for someone and they're able to pull back on words, and furthermore them just going back to read it as well, allows that word to find that kind of resounding effect in their minds, in their hearts. And so it's a very powerful legacy you're building down. I can't stress it even more. I don't know if you plan to do workshop and to help others develop their abilities to write poem. I don't know if you plan to, I don't know,
I don't know when.
branch out.
I think when we meet again, we're going to go into a topic,
Yeah.
whole new topic, and I will continue with that answer
Yes.
in that session.
All right, no problem.
Okay.
No
So for
problem.
today, I'm going to wrap it up and say thank you very much, Mr. Chambers, for coming, bouncing off some of the ideas,
Yes.
listening to some of my poem, giving me feedback on it. I love that.
Yes.
And viewers, till next time.
Yes, I appreciate it.
Mhm.